Hello friends, welcome to our new video. Gujarat Authority for Advanced Ruling has came out with a decision that all the interest income received to an individual on his saving bank account, on the loans and deposits he has made, on the PPF will be aggregated for the purpose of calculating the threshold limit of rupees 20 lakhs. Interest received on PPF, personal loans and advances, and on saving bank account to be added for the purpose of calculating the threshold limit of rupees 20 lakhs for obtaining registration under GST law. This ruling has been given under GUJ oblique GAR oblique R oblique 2020 oblique 10 dated 19th April 2020. The facts of the case are that the applicant has submitted that he is an individual having not engaged in any business. His receipts are only from savings, personal loans, and advance and deposits, which are reflected in income tax returns. The applicant has further submitted that his estimated receipts for the financial year 18-19 is likely to be totally rupees 20 lakhs 12,000, which includes rent receipts 9 lakh 84,000, bank interest 3,000, interest on PPF deposit rupees 2 lakh 76,000, and interest on personal loans and advances rupees 7 lakhs 49,000. So the fact was that the SSC is a person not carrying out any business. He simply invests his savings and get the interest income. Second income is the rent income which he is getting amounting to rupees 9 lakh 84,000. The first discussion which advanced ruling made was regarding the aggregate turnover. Aggregate turnover is relevant to a person to determine the threshold limit to obtain registration under the Act. That is, supply of services or goods or service of both rupees 20 lakhs, rupees 10 lakhs in case of supplies effected from special category state. If you are providing any kind of service, then the threshold limit applicable on you is rupees 20 lakhs. The applicant is providing service of extending loans, deposits, and also giving the renting service. So his limit will be 20 lakhs as he resides in Gujarat. Section 26 of the Central Goods and Service Tax Act 2017 defines the term aggregate turnover as under. Now, what is the aggregate turnover? Aggregate turnover means the aggregate value of all taxable supplies, excluding the value of inward supplies on which tax is payable by a person on reverse charge basis, including exempt supplies, export of goods or service or both, and interstate supplies of person having the same permanent account number to be computed on all India basis, but excludes central tax, state tax, union territory tax, integrated tax and cess. We find that aggregate turnover is an all-encompassing term covering all the supplies affected by a person having the same PAN. It specifically excludes inward supplies affected by a person which are liable to tax under reverse charge mechanism and various taxes under GST law compensation cess. That is, aggregate turnover includes all the supplies made by a person but excludes certain services which falls under reverse charge mechanism and GST, the tax component of the GST. Exempt supply is defined under section 247 of the CGST Act 2017, hereinafter referred to as the Act as reproduced below. Exempt supply means supply of goods or service or both which attract nil rate of tax or which may be wholly exempt under section 11 or under section 6 of Integrated Goods and Service Tax Act and includes non-taxable supply. Nil rated supply is nowhere defined in GST law. The basic difference between nil rated and exempt supply is that the tariff is higher than 0% in case of exempt supply, that is, you can say 12%, 18%, but there is no tax payable due to exemption notification. Whereas in case of nil rated supply, the tariff is at a nil rate, so there is no tax without the exemption notification. Thus, the different kinds of supplies covered under the aggregate turnover are taxable supplies, supplies that have a nil rate of tax, supplies that are wholly exempted from SGST, UTGST, IGST or cess, and supplies that are not taxable under the Act, that is alcoholic liquor for human consumption, and articles listed in section 9(2) and in schedule 3. Export of goods or service or both, including zero rated supplies. We further find that under GST, supply is considered a taxable event for charging tax. The liability to pay tax arises at the time of supply of goods or service. That is, the liability arises when we supply any goods or service. Thus, determining whether or not a transaction falls under the meaning of supply, it is important to decide GST's applicability. Section 7 of Central GST Act 2017 defines the term supply as under. Subsection 1 says, for the purpose of this act, the expression supply includes, point A, all forms of supply of goods or service of both, such as sale, transfer, barter, exchange, license, rental, lease, or disposal made or agreed to be made for a consideration by a person in course or furtherance of business. So, rental income is included in this definition. Import of service for a consideration whether or not in course of furtherance of business. The activities specified in Schedule 1 made or agreed to be made without consideration, and the activities to be treated as supply of goods or supply of service as referred to in Schedule 2. So by subsection A, the rent receipt which the applicant is getting, that is rupees 9,84,000, will be a taxable supply. Subsection 2 says, notwithstanding anything contained in subsection 1, point A, activities or transactions specified in Schedule 3 and or point B, such activities or transactions undertaken by central government, a state government or any local authority in which they are engaged as public authorities as may be notified by the government on the recommendations of the council shall be treated neither as supply of goods nor a supply of services. Subsection 3 says, subject to the provisions of subsection 1 and 2, the government may on the recommendations of the council specify by notification the transactions that are to be treated as, point A, a supply of goods and not a supply of services, or point B, the supply of service and not a supply of goods. Thus the supply includes sale, transfer, exchange, barter, license, rental, lease and disposal. If a person undertakes either of these transactions during the course or furtherance of business for consideration, it will be covered under the meaning of supply under GST. Supply has two important elements. Supply should be done for a consideration and supply is done in course of furtherance of business. That is, from here it is clear that the rent receipt of rupees 9,84,000 by the applicant is a taxable turnover. Now coming to the interest part, notification number 12/2017 central tax rate and notification number 9/2017 integrated tax rate, both dated 28 June 2017, as amended, provides a list of service exempted from payment of central tax on intra-state supply and integrated tax on interstate supply. Entry number 27A of the notification number 12/2017 and entry 28A of the notification number 9/2017 relates to service by way of extending deposits, loans or advances insofar as the consideration is represented by way of interest. The service regarding interest income are covered under the above notification. Therefore, such services are exempt from payment of GST and the individual is not required to discharge GST on the activity of providing services by way of extending deposits, loans or advances where the consideration is represented by way of interest. Therefore, in the given case, GST is not leviable on the interest income earned by the applicant. That is, till now we have discussed that 9,84,000 will be a taxable turnover, which is the rent receipts, and the other part of the income will be a exempt supply. From the above, it is revealed that applicant is an individual with an annual turnover of more than 20 lakhs. Since this income is interest related, the turnover is exempt from GST. However, the applicant also supplies services of renting of immovable property along with activities of providing services by way of extending deposits, loans or advances where the consideration is represented by way of interest. His turnover from rent income is 9.84 lakhs and we know that this transaction, renting of immovable property, is chargeable to GST. However, his taxable turnover is only rupees 9.84 lakhs. Going by the definition of aggregate turnover, the applicant is required to consider the value of both the taxable supply, that is renting of immovable property, and the exempt supply of service provided by way of extending deposits, loans, advances for which they earned interest income to arrive at aggregate turnover to determine the threshold limit for the purpose of obtaining registration under the GST Act. That is, the taxable turnover is 9.84 lakhs, but the interest income is to be included in the taxable turnover to come to a aggregate turnover, which is to be seen to calculate the threshold limit of GST. In view of the above, we conclude that the applicant is required to aggregate the value of exempt interest income earned by way of extending deposits in PPF and saving accounts and loans and advances given to his family friends, along with the value of taxable supply, that is renting of immovable property, for the purpose of calculating the threshold limit of 20 lakhs for obtaining registration under GST law. That is, taxable supply plus exempt supply is equal to aggregate turnover. So there was 3 questions raised by the applicant before the advance ruling authority: whether interest received in form of PPF would be considered for the purpose of calculating the threshold limit of rupees 20 lakhs for registration under GST law. The answer given is in affirmative as discussed above, that it will be considered in the calculating the threshold limit of rupees 20 lakhs. Second question raised was whether interest received on personal loans and advances to family friends would be considered for the purpose of calculating the threshold limit of rupees 20 lakhs for registration under GST law. The answer again is yes, it will be considered in the threshold limit of 20 lakhs. Third question was whether interest received on saving bank account would be considered for the purpose of calculating the threshold limit of 20 lakhs for registration under GST law. The answer again is yes. That is, all the 3 interest income is to be aggregated for the threshold limit of GST. Thank you so much. Hope you liked the video. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.